Adventures in Imperfect Living.
Hey, greetings, folks. Welcome to another edition of Adventures in Imperfect Living. My name is Greg Willits from RosaryArmy.com.
And I'm Jennifer Willits' his wife.
So, Jennifer, you say you're my wife.
I am, and I'm being very direct about this. In fact, I want to talk about how we talk to each other in this house. Maybe it's the way you talk to your spouse or a special significant person in your life.
I was going to say, why would we talk about how we talk to each other in this house? What does that have to do with anything that anyone who is watching or listening right now would care about? By the way, if you are watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure that you're hitting the subscribe button, notifications, all those kinds of things that you're supposed to do, because we really want our videos for Rosary Army to get a bigger audience than they have. We've gotten about 1,000 new viewers and subscribers over the last year, but that's
awesome.
In the YouTube economy, that really is nothing, and you can make a difference. Bling, little special effect.
But in Greg and Jennifer's little limited worldview, it is something big. Imagine if 1,000 people were in our house watching us talk to each other.
Wow, when
Suddenly,
you say it that way,
people.
We need 1,000 of you to unsubscribe right now. That's way too many people in my house right now. All
Exactly.
of you, it's time to leave. Please get out of the house now.
Right. So, are you cold, Greg?
Oh, why? Because I'm wearing my... Yeah, well, hey, listen, menopausal woman with a full head of hair.
Oh, we are speaking so honestly today. I love this. This is like a refreshing way of communicating.
So we have been... I don't know why this has been a conversation for us so much lately, and it's been longer than that. Just I think a lot of it's come out from therapy for me and that kind of thing, of just learning new terminology and learning how different things actually have applied in my life. Things like passive-aggressive and codependency, and what do those things mean? And these terms, I kind of batch them up with when we talk about temperaments and sanguine and phlegmatic. I have a really hard time remembering exactly what those different temperaments mean, what the characteristics of them are. And so I oftentimes, when I hear things like passive-aggressive or codependent or a series of other things, I have a tendency to not always understand exactly what those particular words mean. And so I use them incorrectly. And so we have had a lot of conversations over the last couple of years of just trying to understand them generally. And then as a result, we've started to see us exhibit some of that behavior in our own marriage and with our own children, and then even outside of it. And it's so easy to notice the behavior in someone else than it is to see it in yourself.
Although I think we're getting better.
Oh, I totally see.
At recognizing our own culpability in using this behavior.
And that's kind of why we're now ready to talk about it on the show, because
we're coming clean.
Well, no, because we've gotten to the point now where we've started joking about it. And we're calling each other out jokingly. And went, that's passive aggressive. That's passive aggressive. It's like
that's a perfect example of being passive aggressive.
and then I'll say something and I'll go, that was totally passive aggressive. I'm like,
thank you.
So now it's become like this seek and find game where you're like looking for the examples of it.
Yeah.
But then you see it. It becomes, once you know what it is and once you see how it's impacted your life negatively, and then you want to start changing, all right? And this should be our Christian life, right? That we want to seek out the virtuous behavior and do away with the negative, the sinful behaviors in our lives. That once we start to see our behavior, that we desire to change. We desire to be better, because that's what we're called to. We're called to be better. Jesus was not passive aggressive. Jesus was not codependent. But then what does that mean? And how do you overcome these kinds of things? And why does it matter, right? It's like, so what if someone is codependent? So what? If they are passive aggressive from time to time, so what? Well, I think about how it makes me feel when you or someone else says something indirectly to me, and I know that there's a statement behind the statement. Or worse, you say something completely innocently, and I just start to suspect that there's something behind it, right? That's even more nefarious. That's the devil saying, hey, this person thinks these things about you. This person is not in alignment with you. And so the father of lies will tell you lies. And so those are all the kinds of ways that this becomes really nefarious. But it's also helpful, and this is from my perspective, and again, I still feel so weird over the last few years how much we've talked about my own mental health struggles. So many things from my past have come out in the last few years in particular from really in-depth weekly therapy for more than 2.5 years solid now, but really over the last 6 years, hundreds of hours of processing traumatic things from my life and seeing very clearly how I was passive aggressive and how others were codependent and how I had a tendency to always want to please people, and all these kinds of things wrapped up into it. And it's hard to put a single definition into it. So we started doing a little bit of research of like, how could we talk about this in a very specific way that's going to be helpful to people listening so that they can perhaps, if they are in relationships that aren't as healthy as they could be, that they could find ways of addressing it. How can they talk to each other? How have you and I talked to each other to sort of overcome some of these things? And and some of the things that I read just this morning, some of the definitions of I could see myself just 2.5, 3 years ago in our own arguments. Let me ask you this. When was the last time that you and I had an argument and I went to where I regularly go, which is quiet solitude for an unreasonable amount of time?
Oh.
Sort of doing the silent treatment, right?
Yes.
If that was something I would do to you.
Yes.
When we'd have an argument, I'd kind of go silent treatment mode.
It's been a while since you've had that very extreme reaction/response. And so that's an improvement. I have to believe that is a fruit of therapy. I think what happens now is you're faster to sort of say how you feel. And it's not like, I hate that you said that. It's not even that reaction. It's more like an even reaction of, I can see that we are experiencing a type of a discord. And it saddens me greatly that we are not in alignment. I have this very right reaction and you have yours and we are not together, and I don't like this. I don't like the brokenness that exists.
That you're saying that's how I'm reacting now.
That's how you reacted literally recently when we came across another disagreement over parenting.
It wasn't an argument. We were just we were in disagreement of how something was happening.
Right. We both felt like that we had a very, I would say a right response. It seemed really right in our heads. Like, but no, this is how we should handle this. I think I think I'm entitled to handle it this way. And you feel like, but hold on now. I don't think that that's really right. And so we both had
strong opinions.
Yeah, we're both bumbling through this because once you have strong opinions with your spouse and they're not the same, that's where you get into some tricky areas where feelings are going to get hurt. And you feel like, well, somebody now is going to have to die to themselves.
Yes. And so that's that. And in
that's
that,
tough.
and in that, well, I mean,
but necessary.
There can also be a compromise. It doesn't have to be a full dying to self. It could be like, each of us could mutually, try to find where we have these heightened responses to something. Where can we kick the legs off of something without being injured or allowing ourselves to be injured or injuring the other person, so that we both kind of come down a little bit lower so that we can find the common ground. And I think that's a little bit of what happened. I mean, I need it. Here's the thing. And I do want to get to some definitions here, and I want to share some, because I think it'll enhance our conversation to share some of these things, rather than just kind of, we jumped a little bit too quick to a story, but to that point, I feel like we both needed to more honestly, and we did, honestly shared our opinions over a given situation. We both had strong oppositional opinions about what the other person's opinion was. In the past, from a passive-aggressive standpoint, or even a codependent standpoint, I might have just gone silent and reclusive because I want to make you happy, and so therefore my feelings don't matter. And I just have to die to, and so then it becomes like this martyr syndrome. It becomes, and that's where these negative things happen. So again, from a when you throw out words like passive aggressive or codependent or whatever, at the heart of it is, are we being honest with each other, or are we playing a game and circumventing what directly needs to be said? Now, can we say things directly with more compassion? Yeah, and that's probably what we should have done the other day.
Yeah.
But as you said, I am tending to I'm being more honest than I've ever been in being upfront. Here's how I feel. But I'm very aware as the words are coming out. I'm like, man, I just wish I could pull it back. I could feel it. It's exploding out, and I don't like that. And so I'm trying to find ways of being more calm in saying it. But then I feel like I'm going. I feel like I'm like overcompensating. I'm like, well, the thing is that what I believe is, and I just feel like it's like it's Mount Vesuvius is about to explode, even though that's not where I'm going. Okay, so let's back up a few minutes, a few paragraphs, I should say.
A few verbal paragraphs.
Well, I mean, let's look at let's give some definition from professionals, right? Versus Greg and Jennifer's ramblings. Not that we're not professional ramblers. We've been rambling professionally for almost 2 decades now.
We are professionals at that.
By the way, it's March as we're recording this, so happy anniversary. This is our 19th anniversary of podcasting this month. Cheers.
Cheers.
19 years of rambling on and begging for subscribers and reviews on iTunes, even though iTunes isn't a thing anymore. It's just their podcasts. All right, so the Mayo Clinic, they had a thing about what is passive-aggressive behavior. What are some signs? Passive-aggressive behavior is a pattern of indirectly expressing negative feelings instead of openly addressing them. All right, so that's a high level.
Yeah.
So it's a pattern of indirectly expressing negative feelings instead of openly expressing them. It goes on to say there's a disconnect between what a person who exhibits passive-aggressive behavior says and what he or she does. For example, and examples are always good. I was trying to find a bunch of examples of this, but maybe
I can easily come up with some,
good.
right?
Because I actually, for as much as I remember stuff lately, I haven't been able to recall specific passive-aggressive behavior because we're doing it so much.
Exactly. Here's what I'll do right now. Are you gonna really read that whole article?
Yeah. Okay. So when you said
what did
that,
I just infer?
Well, what's funny is about how nefarious passive-aggressive behavior can be on other people. Even when you said that, when I heard that tone, whether it would be from you or from someone else, it doesn't just have a mental impact. I literally felt a physical sensation here. I felt, as you were saying it, even though I knew it was joking, I felt a tightening in my chest.
Yeah, that's just it. We say, I was joking.
But it's still...
As an excuse.
You can go up and put a dagger in someone's chest and go, I was just kidding around.
And yet, how often do we hide our passive-aggressive behavior under the guise of, I'm just joking, so therefore, I am innocent, and you should laugh at your own expense. That's what's happening there.
So
I'm being actively aggressive.
Well, see,
instead of passive.
It's direct. It's direct. You're being direct.
I'm just being direct. Yeah.
And being direct is not bad.
As long as we're direct with love. We have to be direct, charitably direct.
Well,
not.
I mean, we could explore that a little bit because if there was a situation like, get your hands off my wife, I'm not going to do that with love, right?
That situation calls for a stronger. So you have to read the room very, very quickly. Okay, so what else? Is there something else to add?
Yeah. So they gave some examples here. For example, someone who engages in passive-aggressive behavior might appear to agree, perhaps even enthusiastically, with another person's request. Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
Hey, do you want to go to that party? That's 2 hours, 3 hours away with all of my coworkers that you don't really know. You want to go? You want to go?
If you want to go to the party, I'll go to the party. That's like blending together the codependency and the passive aggressive. If you want to go, I'll go. If it's important to you to go, then I will go, and we will be happy when we go. You see how well this is going to go? You see, how do you think that evening is going to play out for you? So rather than complying with the request, however, he or she might express anger or resentment by failing to follow through or missing deadlines. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. So it's like, yeah, I'll help you in the yard. Like, how often do children help you? Yeah, I'll help you pick up sticks, and they're like, and they're walking around and they're picking up the sticks.
But in that case, they are letting their actual discontent be known.
But it's no. Directly would be, Dad, I don't enjoy this. Mm-hmm. I don't. This is very difficult for me. Why? It'd be harder as a parent even to go, I don't care if it's difficult. Then the dad's being a jerk.
Yeah.
But if one of our kids said, I really struggle with the yard work. I mean, listen, that's a bad example, and I'm actually hitting a personal point. I can tell you flat out, I remember a day when I was 12 years old, and the lack of compassion that I received when there was something going on like that. There was yard work going on, and I was really, really struggling with it. And it was like,
meaning you did not want to do it.
I did not want to do it, and it was physically difficult for me, and I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing. It was just sort of like, get out there and do it. No one explained to me how to do it, right? And so I felt stupid. I felt, it was difficult. I didn't think I was going to do it right. I felt like even if I did it, that I was going to get yelled at for doing it, all these kinds of things.
A no-win situation.
It was a no-win situation. And so if I didn't even feel like I could say, I'm struggling, and then to get a little compassion of like, I know this is a very difficult chore. I know this is I don't enjoy it either. Let's get through it together. That's compassion, right? And so when you are direct with someone, when you do it, as you said, with love, then that's when compassion is allowed to come through from the other end. And I feel like that's what's been happening a lot lately, where one of us will say something and realize it's passive aggressive, and they go, and we call ourselves out, or we feel comfortable calling the other person out, and you're like, you know what? You're right. So then how can we move forward on this? And then it diffuses the aggression, right? It doesn't become aggression. It is just direct. I'm struggling with it. And it actually feels kind of great to be able to say, I really don't like talking about the thing that we were talking about the other day, that we won't give any details to you about.
Which is going to drive you crazy.
We'll just speak very vaguely and very passive aggressively.
Dance all around
We won't say it. You know that there's a problem, but we're not going to tell you. We want you to figure out what it is. And then we're just going to go silent until you do.
But we can, because it involves the dating of another person, and we don't have the rights to share the full story.
Does Mac Barron really deserve any dignity?
Oh, that Mac Barron. Man.
He doesn't deserve it anyway. So let's just throw him under the bus, shall we? No, so Mac came over. No, I'm kidding. That had nothing to do with Mac. It was Catherine. No.
But we can say, no, we can't, because everything, they're going to you're going to figure it out, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. The other day, there was a family decision that needed to be made.
Yes.
And I don't even know why we're bringing this up again. Where was I going?
Because to highlight more of an example of the disagreement that we quickly fell into, because a decision needed to be made. I was trying to make a decision regarding.
Yeah, I don't think that. Okay, I don't know where that was going to go. I brought it back up again, and I don't know where I was going to go, and I'm not going to be able to recover. So let's move on with this article from Mayo Clinic. It says specific signs of passive aggressive behavior. If you knew where you were going, did you know where you were going? Okay,
you were going somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where I was going. So let's move on.
I appreciate your honesty.
I'm going to be direct. I was an idiot. Specific signs of passive-aggressive behavior include resentment and opposition to the demands of others, especially the demands of people in positions of authority. So I think about all of my time in Cubeland of working in offices. Oh my goodness gracious, does passive-aggressive behavior?
Wait, where was this in your life?
In Cubeland.
Where was Cubeland?
Any place where I worked in an office.
Okay.
Any office where there were cubes, I was in Cubeland.
And just, I'm assuming this is a universal term, right? Cubeland. Well, everyone will know what you mean.
No, I'm talking about cubicles, right? Okay. Like office cubicles.
Those little partitions.
Where
does that even still exist? Assuming it does.
Oh, yes.
I haven't been in an office.
Someone comes in and says, I brought donuts, and then everyone's head pops up like a whack-a-mole.
Oh, that's so funny.
But I always had images of me with a mallet just wanting to go played office whack-a-mole. Oh. That's a game I need to make. That's my first JavaScript game right there.
So active aggressive.
I've been trying to. I've been going through JavaScript tutorials. I've been trying to think of. Someone has got to have already done that. Office whack-a-mole.
Okay, stay on target, Greg. Stay on target.
I could draw caricatures of people I used to work with. Oh.
However, let's get back to the passive aggressive behavior and the fallout in marriage.
Resentment and opposition to the demands of others. Especially the demands of people in positions of authority. But I was saying in offices, right?
Yeah.
You would see it a lot of like, oh, we got to go to this meeting again. And that's the difference between saying, I'm really tired of meetings, right? Mm-hmm. We got to go to this meeting again. Oh, they're always doing these meetings. that breeds negative feelings towards the people that are arranging the meetings, as if the people that are arranging the meetings just to be able to hurt you. Right. And it's that kind of attitude versus, again, more directly, I'm really struggling with the meetings. Is there a way that we can make them better? Is there something that we can do to make them more interesting or more productive? That's direct, and directness sometimes comes with a risk, because if you have a jerk boss, they might get angry at you. But directness always comes with a little bit of risk, but directness and honesty has a different reward, I think, that will always be compensated. Particularly from a Christian perspective, I think if you're trying to do the right thing and if you're looking out for the betterment of everyone, that's always going to be protected. I honestly believe that.
Now, I feel like you're talking a little bit about the Crispin Day speech. Do you remember that? I think it was Shakespeare's Henry V.
Yeah.
Where he was trying to rally his soldiers to come into the breach once more. It's like, I need you to do this very, very difficult thing. And so he inspires them by acknowledging the hardship right out of the gates. Like, I know this is hard. I know I'm about to ask you to do something really, really hard. So I don't want the passive-aggressive response out of you. I need you to be with me now.
I need you to be direct.
And I need you to agree with me to do this really hard thing that I see that it must be done. So he acknowledges the hardship and sort of puts out what their likely reaction will be by putting it out there first so it can diffuse the situation.
I'm looking at it now, and I'm just applying it.
St. Crispin's Day speech from Henry V.
I'm just applying it to, like, working in an office. If we are marked to die, we are now to do our country loss, and if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. If we are to work in these cubes, if we are to die in these office spaces, the fewer men, the greater share of the 401k.
Yes, I will serve. I will go into the meeting. We will do these things.
Once more into the meeting room, my friends, once more. Though coffee and donuts
tough.
there shall be not.
True.
Honor
Very,
there
very
will
true.
be in our meeting minutes and to-do
All
lists.
right, so let's bring this back
All right.
now.
If you would just stop distracting me and bringing up new things, I could get through the list faster.
See, again.
Passive-aggressive.
Well, no. You were direct.
No.
Because you said if you would just stop me, stop distracting me. That was direct.
Okay. Then that was just jerkish. Let me do it in a more passive-aggressive way.
Jerkish behavior.
So
I don't know how you can be passive-aggressive. You were just aggressive.
If someone would just stop talking so I could read through the list.
Okay.
That's not a very good example, but you get it.
Yeah.
So resistance to cooperation, procrastination, and intentional mistakes in response to others' demands. So I need you to do that, and I need it done by the end of the day. Okay. And then if you procrastinate and if you're intentionally making mistakes, well, I'll show him. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this thing instead.
Well, that's rebellion.
But that's that's passive-aggressive behavior according to the Mayo Clinic. So you can't argue with the Mayo Clinic.
Okay. Again,
they're named after a condiment, so you know it's right.
You know it's right. You know it's tasty.
Cynical, sullen, or hostile attitude. Sullen. That's where when I used that earlier example, I was thinking with the silent treatment, that kind of thing. I know that I definitely have been guilty of that, of just kind of going, I'm just going to, go quiet. Frequent complaints about being underappreciated or cheated.
Okay, let's stay on that point.
Okay.
Because I think going back to the story that we are going to be very vague on, once we let our opinions be known, once they came to light.
To each other. Once our opinions.
To each other.
Yeah. We were direct with each other, albeit not as calmly.
Right.
As we could have been.
Right. So now I don't know what interior dialogue you may have had in your head after things came to light. But for me, the interior dialogue in my head was, okay, I don't like where this is going. I now feel that it doesn't matter. It's amazing how quickly I will go to, my thoughts don't matter. What am I doing?
Right.
I don't, you know what? I'm not going to die on this hill. I'm going to play the wife submission card. And I don't know if any wives out there has pulled that almost in a passive aggressive way, because you can use that as a dagger. You can use your faith as a weapon. This is just stupid what we do. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna be the wife. I'm gonna be the submissive wife, like St. Paul talks about. And it's your call, and I'm gonna be obedient. And there you go. I'm out. It's like, okay, so you can say that two different ways. You can say that with love, it's like, you know what? It'll be a joy for me to honor my vocation as wife and to honor you and be obedient to you. And I will love you just as much either way. I'm that. Or you can say, you know what? You do it. I'm just going to be obedient to you, and I'm your slave. I'm out. You know, like there's two different ways a wife can pull that card.
And I would say
one is more honorable than the other.
But I would say, and we're going to get to this a little bit, I would say that there's a danger a little bit, even in the first part, while honorable, there's a danger of then falling into what we'll talk about with codependency, which is this attitude that it's your responsibility to make me happy. And that's not necessarily true.
It could be done that way too.
Right? And so codependency is this idea that someone else is responsible for your feelings, good or bad, or you're responsible for someone else's feelings, good or bad, and you're not. You're responsible for your feelings, and someone else is responsible for their feelings. Now, they might do something that might make you angry, but you're responsible for how you're going to act off that anger, right? And so that's a little bit, that's another tricky road, and that's why I feel like these two do a tango, codependency and passive-aggressiveness. Even though what's interesting is as I started searching around for it, that I didn't see as much correlation between those two, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. But this article from Mayo Clinic wraps up and says, although passive-aggressive behavior can be a feature of various mental health conditions, it isn't considered a direct mental health illness. So it goes on.
It is a choice.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
You are choosing to do this.
So then I saw another article, and this one was from something called codependencyrecovery.org. I know nothing about this organization, but it's a good URL. Overcoming codependency. So this is something that on this particular website, they had a blog article asking if passive aggression and codependency, if they live together, are they common bedfellows, or do they work together at all times? And they say that not necessarily. They gave a 2-sentence description that differentiates these two, and they say codependent people are often fearful of directness. Passive-aggressive people avoid directness at all costs. And so there's a commonality, but a passive-aggressive person will never be direct. They'll never say, I need you to go and do this thing for me, and I need it done by 3.
They'll never say how they actually feel about something.
Or what they need. They won't say what they need. They'll say, it's like, I don't know how this is going to happen before 3 o'clock, that these things are going to happen. And then they make people put together puzzle pieces and figure out how to change their behaviors to make that passive-aggressive person happy. Codependent people are often fearful of directness. They'll kind of avoid it because they just want to make everyone happy. That they just want to avoid any sort of conflict. They don't want to, they don't want to rock the boat.
I've totally done that with you. I'll just come out and admit that out of the gate.
And so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That reaction from the other day, that was more of a codependent reaction than a passive-aggressive reaction.
But whenever you want to preface an argument or a statement with, in my defense, how often do you start a conversation with those 3
I feel like
words?
I say that a lot.
And that already is negative, because that's telling the other person you are now defending something, and I'm defending myself.
Would it be better?
In my defense, you feel like you have to explain and justify your reaction.
Well, but yeah. So what could I say that would be better then?
I don't know. I'm just pointing it out.
Just to explain myself?
That's probably. Let me explain how I got here.
Let me explain why I'm thinking this.
Yeah. And then it feels less less attacking, but and I felt like there was a reason why I was saying in my defense why I'm codependent, why I would resort to a codependent reaction toward you, is because as your wife and as our listeners and viewers know, the mental health struggle has been such a long one. I'm so hyper aware of your pain that I don't want to add to it. So it's easy for me to I just want to do what makes him happy. I don't want to add to his pain. I know, but it's dangerous.
It's dangerous for you to go down that route.
Yes,
because
it is. I know.
Because here, listen to this line. Codependent people often seem to unhappily plan their lives around pleasing their partners, while simultaneously relying excessively on their partners for emotional support.
Yes.
So it's a double-edged sword that
It
they
is.
say, right? And
So how do we stop it?
Well, I mean, we could just discuss that, but I think that again, we're getting better in our own marriage. It's only taken us 28 years of marriage to get around to talking about these things.
Yeah.
But okay, here's where I read that line: passive-aggressive people make an art of indirect resistance to the demands of others by avoiding direct confrontation, procrastinating, pouting, sulking, falling silent for hours or days. I was like, did it. I mean, that's like, I could put multiple check marks down there for me as a passive-aggressive person. But then it says when the codependent person finds they cannot rely on the passive-aggressive partner, they tend to express more neediness when the passive-aggressive one wants to avoid, while simultaneously sounding like they are appeasing. So it's like, so it's a downward spiral of things happen as a result of that. Yeah. And the way I read this is at the heart of this is a lack of directness is happening. And directness does not mean a fight, right? Directness can be very clearly, here's what I'm feeling. Whether you agree with it or not, I'm feeling this. Here's how I'm reacting, good or bad. This is how I'm reacting. Mm-hmm. And trying to at least being honest with that person, being vulnerable with the other person.
Yeah, and this isn't just the kind of thing that will play out between spouses. It can play out with you and your teenage or young adult child. I mean, the same thing. Like Lily is so close to me, and right now, at the time of this recording, she's a 15-year-old. And so that puts her at a very unique spot in her development and her ability to express herself. But we're so close because we're kind of a stay-at-home family. We're around each other a great amount, so we can read each other very, very well. We look into each other's eyes, and we already know when someone's off, they're kind of in a funk, mental funk, whatever, or they're in a great mood. We will know within 10 seconds of seeing the person for the first time of the day. Uh-oh.
Yep.
You just go right there. And so, like this morning, I had a task of baking some cookies that I've never made before. And I'm just like,
is this going to be a long story?
I don't think so.
If it's going to be a long story, can you pass the coffee?
Sure.
Even if it's going to be a short
Thank you for letting me know that you're feeling a little impatient right now.
I didn't say that. That's awfully passive-aggressive.
Were you thinking it?
I was trying to be funny, but it didn't work.
Okay. No, it was funny. So I wasn't smiling. And do you ever have days where a smile is just harder to manufacture or to bring to being, And so
no, that never happens.
I am the type of person that smiles pretty easily. And I don't have a resting happy face, but I'm pretty close to it. I have I can get to a smile pretty fast face, whatever that is. I just get there. And Lily I could tell she was reading. I was being scanned. She was scanning me, trying to get a sense of where I was. And eventually she just came out and asked me, is everything okay? Because I was just in my task. I had a resting plain face. I was just doing my thing. But I felt it. I felt that, and I thought, you know what? She took a chance. She was asking me, and I'm going to give as honest of an answer as I could that would really try to articulate what I was feeling interiorly. And all I could say was, something is off. Yes, you have read that correctly. I don't know what it is. I just know that I'm feeling it. I'm in a bit of a weird headspace. It could have been maybe the dream that I just had because it was just after waking up. Something is weighing on me, and I think I'm processing something that I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's there. I can tell you it's there. And I know a smile is hard to come right now, but that's just where I am. She said, that's fair.
Yeah.
And it was an honest
it's direct,
conversation.
Right? And the good is that because you were direct, she didn't feel the responsibility of changing her actions to, quote, make you happy.
And she wanted to make sure that she wasn't a part of the reason.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Did I do something is exactly where she would have gone next. And
yeah.
She was fishing for that.
And that's
truth.
That's a perfect example of taking a typical behavior in a family dynamic and easily switching the way that things normally go. Because, I mean, I have to believe that just our recent conversations made you answer in that way.
I think so, because the passive-aggressive response would have been, I'm fine.
Yes, correct. No, everything's fine.
And how often do we actually do that with each other? Because we're like, I'm not ready to talk about this. I'm fine.
But if you had responded that way, I mean, this is really kind of interesting. It would have sowed a seed of doubt for Lily.
Yes.
It would have created, it would have perpetuated the awkwardness in the room versus, I mean, it's like, I mean, listen. I mean, I think about the one time when we were living in Indiana and one day a bat got into the house. And the bat was flying in these circles, and your mother was still living with us at the time.
That was a sitcom moment, right there.
And your mom is like standing in the middle of the kitchen, and we're like, "Goody, you need to get out of the way because we're going to accidentally hit you with one of these, things that we're swinging at the bat." And you and I, meanwhile, are trying to catch this bat that's flying in circles, and it's got the sonar, so it knows every time we've raised up a net or something to catch it, right?
I didn't even think about that. It's going to avoid us no matter what.
It knows, anytime there's something in the air, it's going to fly around it. And so we're trying to do it. And so you got these things just flying around. When you have codependent or passive-aggressive behavior, it's like there's a bat flying around, and you're like, there's no bat here. There's no bat. There's no bat. But the other person's like, I know there's a bat. I can see the bat. The bat is flying in circles. The bat's not. There's no bat. Number one, there's no bat, and there's no bat flying in circles. You're just wrong. And then the other person starts going, well, I must be crazy because I can see the bat. All the evidence of the bat there. There's this thing that's wrong. It's out of place, and that's what happens. It's like suddenly we have a bat in the house when someone starts exhibiting these behaviors, and then we all walk around pretending that there's not this bat in the house. And it's just, I don't know if that someone's going to go, oh, that's going to be our new phrase in our house.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a bat in the house. No. Someone, it's Colette.
I hope you're out there.
Colette in Hawaii just adopted this in her relationship with her husband. They're not going to say there's a bat in the house.
But are there bats in Hawaii?
It doesn't matter.
I'm just sorry.
I'm saying that they just thought that was a brilliant analogy I made, and the show's over now because it's, so all that to say,
are we speaking better to each other?
I think we are. I think we're trying really hard.
Yeah.
But I have to go back, and my tendency is to look at past relationships, and even with our own kids, was this a typical behavior? Us as parents being passive aggressive to the children, or being direct with them? How did it influence them? Are they acting in any sort of codependent way? Is there still a way that for our adult children that we can help them not exist? And I will say this, I don't really see it in our kids. I see it maybe a little bit in Lily just because she's gotten such a high intense dose of Greg and Jennifer without her siblings around. She's gotten it. She's been, we're three people that do things together all the time. That wasn't always the case when the boys were in the house. So I think that the boys don't exhibit it as much. I don't think that they. I
would agree with that. That's a very fair sort of statement there, and so.
But wait, let me say one more thing from this one article. It says,
sure.
Both codependency and passive aggressive affect the ability to create healthy, mutually satisfying relationships. The relationship addiction created by codependency means relationships are often one-sided, emotionally destructive, and even abusive. The passive aggression undermines honesty, accountability, and trust, leading to frustration and anxiety. So suffering from low self-esteem and unable to express their own anger honestly, passive-aggressive people are often codependent too. And I would say that I've fallen into that because I have, had low self-esteem. I felt like I needed to be a people pleaser. I needed to do the things that are going to make other people proud versus doing the things that are going to actually be edifying and help me be a better person. And so there was all these kinds of things that went into it that have had negative reactions in my other behaviors, whether it be work relationships or, with just friends or with you, And so I'm not quite sure how to wrap up the conversation.
I think that, there's still a lot that I kind of wanted to say because this is I think this is just a really relatable conversation. But earlier in our show, we talked about how passive-aggressive joking, how that could be hurtful sometimes to the one who the joke was maybe aimed at. And so what is the way out of that? What is the charitable response to receiving that?
What's an example of a passive-aggressive joke?
Let's say I made a joke about something. Let's say you were cooking dinner for, maybe you were going to surprise Lily and me and just have something done. And then I made a comment. It's like, oh, well, too bad you use this. I'm just joking.
Oh.
And then you're not going to be like, oh, you're so right. That is so funny. I see the joke. You're immediately going to go codependent, maybe? Like, I did a bad thing. I don't know what that is. But it is a way of receiving a passive-aggressive joke, because this is how we joke with each other. We're not even joking nicely sometimes.
But
why do we do this?
I don't know if that's the best example. I'm having a hard time relating to that one. Because that's not something that it typically happens, nor do we really you and I typically don't insult each other. But
no, we don't. But we do joke with each other, or we hide behind, pirates will call, I'm calling parlay,
right.
I invoke joking protocol, so you can't be mad at me because I'm joking.
Well, okay,
I feel like that's
I think it would be fair and probably be healthy to just go too much.
Yeah,
without it being, it's like, or just.
I get that you're joking, but for some reason it felt like a line was crossed to me, and I was hurt.
Yeah,
and just to say it, and it's like I know you didn't mean harm, but sometimes harm occurs even when it was unintended harm, and if you don't let the other person know, then they can't even go, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that, But sometimes maybe they are. I don't know. You don't know until you explore it, and so we're trying to be more authentic with each other, because these are the things that are coming in confession for me.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to talk about it. It's like, I just came out of confession. This is what I said. It's like, I will sometimes be passive-aggressive, overly judgmental toward people, not only in my words, but definitely in my thoughts. And so it's worse when it leaves your mouth and gets out in the air. But you also have to correct the thought processes in your head.
Can I throw you under the bus a little bit?
Sure.
As an example.
Okay.
So
I give you permission.
Well, there's something that you did, and we've had a conversation about this, so this won't be a surprise when I say it.
Okay.
There was a behavior that I would exhibit from you that always surprised me when it happened, but it always happened kind of in the same way.
Okay.
And it was when you were talking to a service person of some sort on the phone.
Yes.
And you would, this tone.
Like if I got bad news or.
You'd be like, oh, well, so
what you're saying is this?
I guess that there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that person on the other end, they just ran out of pepperoni at the pizza restaurant. I don't know why you talked to them. It was like normally.
No, I totally own up to that. Totally.
But I was able to bring that up and I don't remember why I don't remember what the circumstance was where I felt the courage to tell you that. Mm-hmm. But I think it came from enough times of being direct and of being honest that I saw that you would respond positively if I could be direct and honest in a loving way, that you would receive the critique without it taking it as an attack, right?
So what you're saying, I'm a jerk? Is that what you're saying, Greg? I'm a jerk on the phone? No. But I appreciated him saying what he did.
But I've noticed a change. And then there have been a few times where I was like, oh, she's slipping. She's going there.
Fight, Jennifer, fight first.
And then I'm like, well, then I don't know. Then I'm like, well, in that case, I need to just be quiet because she might be having a bad day or whatever. But I think about, here's something else that just moles at me. I don't know if that's the right word.
No. Gnaws at you?
Gnaws.
Yeah. Gnaws.
Moles at me. What's
mulling? That's weird. You're not thinking about it. It's eating away at you.
Well, no, I think about it.
Yeah, hand me a tissue while you're thinking about it.
I think about from, particularly, again, because a lot of the therapy that I've gone through has revealed my behaviors as an adult and their origin points throughout my life. Mm-hmm. And the times where, why have I feared confrontation, or why have I not stood up for myself, or why have I continued to allowed certain people to do certain things to me throughout the course of my life without ever saying, I don't like that and I'm not going to allow that anymore. And it's all, and that's kind of codependent because I don't want other people to feel bad about themselves. And so I feel like I'm not worthy to stand up for myself and say something. And it's caused me, and I actually had this conversation with my therapist just yesterday, the whole idea of like, well, Scripture says, love one another as you love yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And for most of my life, I can love you because I just love you. You're my wife. I love you. But loving other people, I'm like, I don't like people very much. And it shouldn't be a surprise because I haven't loved myself very much.
Okay.
Because I've consistently done the codependent thing, which is, well, that person isn't happy, and so therefore it's my fault. So ergo, I suck. I'm a terrible person. I'm incapable of making people happy. As if it was my responsibility to do that. And that's been my default for my life, that I make people mad, that people are upset around me, that if I'm there, people are going to get in arguments. If this ongoing thing that and people have told me really negative things and have mocked me and that kind of thing. And so I just have taken that on. And so this has been a very healthy realization that I can be direct and I can stand up for myself and I can say, this is what happened. If you don't like it, then I can walk away and whatever. And that reminds me of, and I saw this image online the other day, and I don't know where it came from, but I actually saved it. And I just happened to share it yesterday as well with my therapist, that this cartoon that I saw online, and I'll try to, okay, there is a credit on it. So I'll try to remember to have Ben Barron insert this cartoon. But there's this green fox talking to two silver foxes. And the green fox says, please respect my boundaries and be nicer to me or you won't see me again. It's a very direct statement.
Wow.
Right? And then the gray foxes are saying, stop making such childish and unreasonable demands. And the green fox says, okay, and walks away. And then the silver foxes go, hey, because they're not used to that person standing up for themselves. And then it says, and the green fox lived happily ever after with people who don't think that that's unreasonable. It's not unreasonable for us to say, please respect my boundaries and be nicer to me, or I'm not going to stand around here. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not advocating people saying to their spouses, be nicer to me or I'm going to leave this marriage.
Sounds like a threat.
Well, it is a little bit. It's not a threat as much as it is setting a clear boundary. Boundaries, you could say, well, that sounds like a threat.
Right.
A boundary is not a threat. A boundary, listen, when you put a fence up in your backyard that separates your backyard against your neighbors, are you threatening your neighbor by putting up a boundary? Or are you protecting your property?
But what's interesting is, why did I see it as a threat?
Yeah, well.
That reveals something about me. And then some other people might go, no, this is just a very calm explanation about consequences.
I would say
that's another thing.
I would say this. There's a chance you saw it as a threat because that's a codependent response. A codependent response is, well, if I create a boundary, then I'm going to upset someone else, and I'm responsible. My behavior, even if I'm doing it for the health of myself and those I love, I can't put up a boundary because it's going to anger someone else, even if that person who I'm going to anger isn't even a part of my daily life.
What's interesting is the way that first paragraph was written in this cartoon. Please respect my boundaries and be nicer to me or you won't see me again. But couldn't it also have been written, please respect my boundaries and be nicer to me or I need to leave. I need to withdraw from the situation. And,
yeah, sure. But, but actually, I find that more threatening.
That's
interesting. Or I'll have to leave. Because then that leaves it open-ended and it makes it, and then that seems passive-aggressive to me because then it's like, so you better, that's even more than, it's beyond respecting the boundaries and being nicer to me and you better do things to make me happy or I'm out of here.
Well, see, I think what then this reveals, to be kind of as objective as I possibly can, is depending on what temperament is your dominant temperament is likely going to affect how you hear the words and what reaction you're going to have accordingly.
Yeah.
And usually inside of a marriage or inside of a family, you've got all kinds of different temperaments all in the same room, which is why you have different reactions to things.
So interesting conversation. If you'd like to chime in on this, there's a few different ways that you can do so. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave comments down below at YouTube. If you're watching this on Rosary Army's website, you can leave, I think...
Passive-aggressive comments?
No passive-aggressive comments. You can send
Charitably loving comments.
You can send us emails at feedback@gregandjennifer.com if you want to.
Charitable loving.
Or you can even record your audio feedback or video feedback and upload it via our WeTransfer. Go to rosaryarmy.com. rosaryarmy.wetransfer.com. That's a way that you can upload things directly, or you can just email audio files to us. You can't email video files, but you can.
Now, how can we say that in a more passive-aggressive way? No, we bought that service for you.
We're paying for WeTransfer, so if you're not going to upload stuff to us, well, then whatever.
I guess we don't need it anymore. We could just discontinue, save the money.
Yeah. And I suppose if you want to go to hell, don't pray your rosary every day. Is that one way? Could you do that?
Let me be direct and clear.
Yeah. Pray your rosary
every day.
Every single day.
And do what it takes to be holy.
God bless, folks. Talk to you in a few days. RosaryArmy.com, schoolofmary.com, RosaryArmy.com/donate. See ya.
Bye.